Hey everyone, it's Random Noob, and today's video is a little special. It is my first PPL predictions video for this season, so let's get right into it. Today I'm gonna make the video a little longer than usual because we're gonna do our standings prediction, and we're also gonna predict the week 1 matchups. And it's a super week, so there's 8 matches instead of 4, so it's gonna be pretty sick. I'm really excited, and we're gonna see all teams playing. That's another sick thing about this week. So first off, I'm going to explain what the PPL is for new people and what the difference is this year. So last year we had a Paladins Pro League or Paladins Professional League. That's what PPL stands for. And it was all online for the most part. The seasons were online and then there was LAN matchups. But this year it's a little different. This year every match is a best of 7 LAN match. So it's going to be pretty insane. We're definitely taking it to the next level this year. I'm pretty excited for that. I can't wait to get all these teams here and play against them on LAN. The LAN experience for Paladins is like none other. The game just works so well on LAN. Really excited to play for that. So that's basically what it is for all the new people and what the difference is. And there's only going to be really 2 tournaments this year as far as I know, HRX and the Midseason Invitational. So it's a little bit more based on the regular season, but I think because it's LAN matchups, it's going to be way more hype. I'm really excited for that. So first off, we're going to start off with my standings predictions. And I'm going to kind of run over the rosters as well when we go through this. So let's get right into it. First off, there's obviously going to be maybe some teams here that people think maybe are out of the ordinary. This is a pretty standard standings for me. Really, like I have a lot of the EU teams high up there, and it goes down pretty much what I think a lot of people would expect it to go. So it's not too surprising as far as this goes. But definitely some interesting teams on here for sure. Starting off with my team as number 1. Obviously, I kind of want to say this for the whole series. Like when I'm not gonna really do my team that much, just because I'm always gonna expect us to win, and I'm always gonna put us at the top no matter what. And that's just like a competitive thing. Like I'd expect anyone from all these other teams to do the same with their if they did a prediction video, right? Like I'd expect Kanga to think they're the number 1 team in the league. Whatever. Like that's just how it is when you're rating your own team. So that's why we're kind of going to focus on the other teams and just explain the league, get some hype going for the league and stuff like that. Moving on to Nadis Vincere. Navi, really, really strong team. I have them as number 2. I still think they're going to be a really good team. It's the same exact roster as last year that we played in the grand finals. Like, they won 2 LANs. I don't think they're going anywhere. Definitely a team to look out for. I think really safe bet they're going to be 1 or 2 seed this year. I think really, really safe. I don't think there's many teams that could, do much against them. They're just so solid across the board. They know the meta so well. Really smart players like Phoenix, Mutu, Lazy Creatives, Spunky, just all really smart guys. Definitely expect them to be 1 or 2 seed. Nothing too crazy there. So let's move on to number 3. I got NIP as number 3. The reason I have them there is obviously their roster isn't really announced. We do know Digi, Bonker, and Bird are still on the team for the most part. The last 2 roster spots are a little out of the air. We know Alex is off Clown Fiesta now. So is he on NAP? I don't know. He hasn't retired or anything. I'd likely say he was. He was a former PPL player. As well as Bidner's kind of out there as well. Don't really know. We kind of expect him to be on NAP based on the knowledge we've gotten around the league. But obviously, the rosters aren't officially announced yet, so we can't really do much for a few of these teams. I think only teams that aren't really officially announced are NIP, SSG, and VP. And SSG, we know, is pretty much the same roster. NIP is pretty much the same roster. And VP, from basically, we got in a lot of leaks that it's probably the, Vex 30 roster. We don't know for sure yet. Obviously, nothing's announced. But as far as those go, we can't really talk 100% about those because there's all leaks. Nothing's 100% announced. And obviously, we're in the league, so that's how it is. So NIP, I have them as number 3 because they're just a strong EU roster. EU has traditionally been really good in Paladins, and there's only 2 EU teams in here, as well as just the fact that it's just really strong players across the board if it is the roster we think it is, right? So for me, I think they're going to be really good. Definitely a top 4 roster. I don't know if they're going to be a 1-2, but I think they can definitely be 3-4, 100%. And I want people to kind of remember about, when you're going to this LAN league with 8 teams, 8 strong teams, like these were the best teams in every region of the world, right? So there's going to be some good teams on the bottom five. Like, that's just how it is, right? Like, it's it's hard to make 8 professional teams and, keep all good teams on the top side of the league and all bad teams on the bottom side. It just doesn't work like that, right? Like, the teams are all so good. So moving on to SSG. SSG was top 4 in the world last year. I don't think that really changes this year. The roster is exactly the same for what we know. FRZ God's obviously a great player. Aries, great player, smart player. Really good tank combo with Sadak and Rachao. Just really smart people. As well as Mido, just a great, player all around as well. I definitely think they're going to be in the top 4. I know at HRX it was kind of their honeymoon period a little bit, so we don't really know exactly what we're going to get out of them this year. And it's their first time in a league format where you're playing good teams every week. Like, people are going to know what you're going to do. They're going to be ready for you and how you're going to adapt to that. That's a big question mark for me for a few of these new international teams like Kanga and SSG. They're not used to that, right? They're not used to that week to week. Every team knows you. Every team knows what you're going to do. How do you, prepare when not every team is like, what is SSG this year? What is Kanga this year? Every land. We don't know them that well, right? Like, obviously, NA teams know them a little better just because we scrim them, but they're on high ping. It's not exactly SSG. We don't really know until they get to LAN. So, for the most part, I still think they're going to be a really strong team based on what we've seen out of their honeymoon period, so it might be a little different, new league format. They might drop a little bit, but I expect them to be, top 3, top 4, maybe 5, 6 based on how they're doing. So, definitely a team to watch out for. Really exciting team. Can't wait to see them. So moving on to the Pittsburgh Knights. I have them as number 5. I think maybe, some people in the community might have an issue with that. I think that's actually, pretty high for them considering the players on the team. Ricotta, G-Bunny, Dethroner, Cuss Cutie, and Payan. Did I say Payan? I don't think I said Payan yet. Yeah, Payan. So the reason I say that is not because they're bad players. I think they're all really smart, really good players. The reason I say that is they haven't really done much in PPL. They've really only beaten each other as far as I know, except for Cuss, obviously. Cuss has been on top PPL, so he's a great person for that team. Great support, just perfect for them because he can kind of, give them that experience that they need, where it's just like 4 up-and-coming players, right? Like, they've really not done much in PPL, so like Renegades, all their players have won a lot more than PPL and against PPL teams than Knights has. That's why I'm saying that, it's a little high for them just because based on their track record, they've never been that high. But I do think the team has a lot of potential, a lot of good players on there. Their tank lineup's pretty strong with the Throner G-Bunny. Like I said, they got a great support in Cuss. And their DPS are up-and-coming players. I think Payan's probably the, second best blaster in NA right now. Like, he's definitely proven himself. He's a good player. And Ricotta's definitely improving himself on hit scan as well. Hits a lot of shots. Good dude. So that's kind of my reasoning why I'm at 5. Not necessarily because I don't think their team could do better. I definitely could see them being, 3, 4, maybe top 2 if they just came out swinging and just kept winning. This team is definitely they can go really high or they can fall really low. They have a lot of potential there for sure. It's kind of hard to put them there. So like I said, I put them a little high. I think maybe them and VP are kind of back and forth. They're probably going to be pretty similar. And like I said, they're 5, but that's 5 in the world, right? That's a top 5 team in the world. That's pretty good in my opinion. And I know maybe some people think they should be a little higher. It's just, for me, it's really hard to put them above SSG. Really hard to put them above NIP for me. It's really hard to do that. But like I said, they have a lot of potential, and they are new players, so it's hard to tell, what they're going to do. Like I said, they've really haven't had many wins in PPL history. I think they've all got like 1 win or 2 wins, except for Cuss, obviously. Cuss has been on the top of the league for a long time. So I think that really helps them a lot. And I'm just excited to see where they go. They're a really cool team. A lot of, good friends on that team from NA. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do this year. And looking at number 6, like I said, with VP, it could be kind of switched around Knights a little bit. I think we don't really know the roster for sure, 100% what it is. We kind of have leaks that it's probably that Vex international roster because they haven't really been playing PGS or PML. We haven't really heard much about him. People really think that that's probably the VP. We did see some leaks the other day. Obviously, it's not an official announcement, so I can't really talk about it, but that's kind of what we think that is. And I'm going to talk about it really, really lightly. And I think their roster is pretty similar to Knights. They do have a little bit more overall experience on that team, I think. Definitely, good players leaked to be on that, like Fishiko, Vex, Hikate, all really, really smart, really good players. We don't really know the tank lineup 100% yet. Like Dosups was on that team, I think, and I think the fifth player is pretty out in the air. We don't know exactly who it's going to be. But I do see this team having a ton of potential. Again, like it's really hard to tell with Knights. Like I don't think I can put them above SSG or NIP in my predictions. That's kind of why I'm so low. But I definitely could see them as a 3-4 seed in the long run. And these are my phase 1 predictions. So, throughout the year, this could change. Like phase 2 comes along, they could be coming up and be a better team by then. Like their new teams are gonna have a harder time earlier in the year, most likely, but it was kind of a long off season, so maybe these new teams had time to gel together, get that honeymoon phase going, and kind of figure each other out really well. Definitely have an advantage when there's a long break when you get a new team, because getting tournaments in really early with a new team can put a ton of pressure on people. You kind of want to bond together for a long time before you have to deal with that tournament stress. Because that stress on tournament day when you lose, it's tough. It's hard to stick together as a team. Real tough. So looking at my bottom two teams now, I have Kanga at number 7. I think Kanga is definitely a strong roster with the Vuli and Guerra and like 3 pretty good OC players in my opinion. Probably the better 3 on their team. Obviously that's why they kept them, right? So it's definitely a roster with a lot of potential. My issue is that they're all over the world right now, so it's really hard for them to find scrims. They might have been scrimming in EU. I'm not even sure. Like I actually don't know if they've been scrimming. Period. But the team does have some good bright spots there. It's just because of the weird ping issues and them like being an international roster that hasn't been scrimming as far as I know. I definitely put them a little lower. I could see them going to 5-6. I don't see them really being a top 4 team. I think 5-6 is probably their ceiling. I think they're a bottom 4, but I mean bottom 4 in the world. They're still a good roster. Top 8. I said bottom 4 in the world. I meant like bottom 4, top 8, which is pretty good, right? Like that's pretty good. And like I said, I have them at the bottom, but someone's got to be at the bottom. Unfortunately, sorry, Kanga. I think it's you this year. There's definitely some potential there with Avuli. Avuli's a great player and as a blaster and stuff like that, and damage player, just really good. Guerra, great support. He's been at the top of EU for a long time. So he's got the experience. They have the experience, to take these better teams on. The problem is, like I said, with SSG, most of those players haven't really been in a league format. Yeah, they have 2 people that have, so they have a little bit more experience, but day in and day out, everyone's going to know what to expect from Kanga. They made a great run to HRX last year. I think they can maybe, build on that, maybe get a little better. I think, what are their 3 other players? Chronix, Osrino, and Joel's? Yeah, that was right. Okay. I just looked it up real quick. It is Chronix, Osrino, and Joel's. So, pretty solid players there for sure. Smart guys. Like I said, new to the league. Everyone's going to know kind of what they're going to do. I expect them to be a lower team. Now, I think this might be my biggest surprise in my entire thing is putting Renegades at 8. Why do I have Renegades at 8? Well, my reasoning is they lost, in my opinion, their best player. Yes, they did get a nasty, amazing damage player like Invocal, but damages can only do so much. It's a team game, right? I think even if Invocal it's kind of like Invocal on SK, right? Invocal on SK would just pop and just like be amazing, and they would win maps, but they can never win a set like that. Like, teams would just, focus on getting Invocal on a bad pick that can't carry, and then the team just falls apart, right? And that's when they had ClickU. So now that they don't have ClickU, Invocal, it's going to be so much harder for them to carry. I think they have the worst tank lineup in the PPL with Moonchopper and Hero. They're still good players, obviously, but I still think it's probably the worst in PPL. Moon's pretty much never played tanks. He's just getting onto them. He's never really been a star DPS player as far as I'm concerned. I didn't think he really was that great at DPS. So it kind of makes sense for him to go to tank. or Vocal. I'm really glad they did pick him in Vocal because I do think that makes their team better. It's just they have a lot of issues right now, and from my perspective, I don't think they're gonna win many games. Like they might, win against bottom three teams, maybe Kanga, but I really don't see them beating Kanga. Honestly, I don't really see them taking much maps off top teams. They just have a lot of issues, right? Like their support player really isn't playing the game that much. It definitely shows. Their tank players have Hero is never like a top tier tank. He's just a solid main tank. Moon, I don't really see him being a really, really good off tank in that short of time. Off tank and tanking takes a lot of experience. It takes like time, a lot of time to be the best at it. And I don't think Moon's going to be there in time for the year to be over, really. Like, I think all these tanks are going to be getting better. There's so many better tanks in the PPL. I really kind of wish they would have picked up a real tank player, but it's all good. We'll see how it goes with them. It's just really hard to place them right now because they just don't have many things going for them. Like, obviously they're great players. They're in PPL, but as far as other PPL players go, it's hard to like compare them to them, right? Like they don't stand up. Except for Invocal. I think Invocal does. I think Loki has really fallen off since he started in the PPL. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him because Loki I used to think was just like amazing at DPS. Just like amazing. And now I haven't really seen that. So I'm kind of hoping Loki gets back to that true form. Gets back to, the Loki we've seen in the past. I think if that happens, we might be able to see something out of this roster. But I don't think Invocal on his own will be able to do enough. So closing out the standings prediction for Phase 1. Overall, I think it's pretty standard in my predictions. Not too much out of the ordinary there. Obviously, I gave some ranges for a lot of these teams because I think a lot can change over the year, really. Like, these teams aren't going to stay in all these positions in my predictions, right? They're going to move up and down. A lot of things are going to change. Some teams are going to improve. Some teams are going to get worse. Some teams are going to not be able to adapt to the LAN league. Other teams are going to adapt really well. Some teams play really well in LAN. Some teams don't, right? There's a lot of things that go into this. So overall, I think it was a pretty standard predictions. I'm really excited, though, for this year, and I can't wait. So let's move on to Week 1, the Super Week, 8 teams. Pretty pumped for this. Boom. These are Thursday matchups, Thursday, March 14th. We're kicking off the league pretty hot with Pittsburgh Knights versus NIP. Definitely two teams that I think could take this either way. I think I'm going to give the edge in this first matchup to NIP, and only because I think they have a little bit more experience, even with the addition of, Alex potentially. I think they just have a little bit more LAN league experience. I think they're obviously going to come in pretty prepared, even though they're traveling. I'm really excited to see this roster go into effect. I have NIP winning this 4-2. I think it's going to be a very close set. Definitely interesting, 100%. I think the Knights have the advantage in the damage matchups, but actually, you know what? Tank-wise, it's pretty even. G-Bunny, Dethroner, definitely pretty solid. And Digidog, he's just starting out on tank. It's going to be a little interesting what he's going to do. We're not quite sure if it's going to be, like, insane or bad, but, like, Digi's a really smart player, so I kind of expecting it to go pretty well just because he's such a smart player, so smart. And that's what you need to be a good tank player, right? Like, it's not necessarily mechanics. It's comes down to smarts, and I think Digi has it. And I think NIP overall, as long as they're grinding, making a lot of effort to be good, I definitely see them winning this. Moving up to matchup 2, another hot matchup with VP and SSG. These are so good to start off the year. We get to just tell these teams right off the bat what they're going to look like, right? For this one, based on the leaked rosters, obviously we don't have 100% announcements for these teams yet. I'm going to give the edge to SSG just slightly. I think this is going to be a very close set, but I think SSG has, the better players overall. I think FRZ God and Ares are better than Hakate and Fish. I think it's very close though. But I'm because FRZ is just such a star player, I'm going to give him the edge a little bit. In terms of tank matchups, Doe and whoever the fifth unknown tank, it's kind of hard to talk about that yet, against Rachao and Sadak. I think SSG definitely has the better tank lineup there. So, based on those matchups, I give the edge to SSG. I'm also giving this set a 4-2. I think both these sets are going to come out swinging really hard. I think they're going to be really close to start off the day, which is awesome. I don't see any game sevens in these first two sets. I think SSG and NAP have what it takes to go 4-2 and win the set kind of, not outright, but pretty big advantage, right? So moving into set 3 with Envy and Navi. Like I said, with our team, I'm not gonna really go over it too much. I'm gonna give us the win. Obviously, it's against Navi. It's a rematch of the grand finals. Freaking hype! 3 awesome matches to start the year. Super cool way to start it. Love it so much. In terms of this, the rematch of the grand finals of HRX, like I said, obviously I'm gonna give my team the edge, but I think this match can go either way. Of course, Navi, we don't really know what they're doing. We haven't scrimmed them in a while. They don't know what we're doing in results. So, I mean, it's a crapshoot, right? Like, who knows? And I just can't wait to see how it plays out. I'm really excited to play against Navi. Super excited to see those guys in Atlanta again. Can't wait. And moving on to, in my opinion, another hot matchup. Like, all these matchups are, like, if you look at my standings predictions, it was all the ones I'm like, maybe. I don't know. Are they good? Are they bad? You know? We're going to decide all of it pretty much, right? Kanga versus Renegades. Who's going to be the bottom of the league, in my opinion? That's what this matchup's going to tell us. Not necessarily long term, but in the short term, right? For me, as you can see in my standings prediction, I had Kanga as the better team, and I'm going to stick to that. I think Kanga has a little bit more experience. Not experience, but like just they've done better recently, and I think Avuli's is really good. I think Guerra is going to bring enough to the team that it's going to, show on game day. And like I said, Renegades is just like a huge question mark to me. I think they can definitely do good, though. I think it's going to be a pretty close set, right? Like, I have them next to each other in my standings, right? So for me, I think Kanga's going to win this as a 4-1. But if Invocal decide to pop off that day, we might see a Renegades win. I could definitely see Renegades taking this set 100%. 100%. We'll see. It also could be one of those things where Renegades is going to look really good against the bottom teams and really bad against the top teams. Kind of like last year, towards the end of the season, how they went. But like I said, with the loss of ClickU, it really hurts them a lot. I think that's going to affect their team quite a bit. And in terms of Thursday matchups, I got NIP, SSG, Team Envy, let's go, and Kanga. So that's my top 4 for day 1. So now jump into day 2. I think day 2 matches the hype just as well. So many good games. I think for the most part the top 2 obviously aren't as good, but it will be exciting to see rematches like us versus Kanga at HRX. So let's start off with that. Obviously, like I said, any matches with my team, I'm gonna say we're gonna win. I'm not gonna really give match scores either, but I will talk about it a little bit. I think it'll be really exciting to see the difference between Kanga from HRX when we played them to now. And I think that'll be really cool. I think obviously we're going to take it. If you looked at my standings at the start of the video, I had us as number 1 and Kanga as number 7. So there's quite a big disparity there. I think it should be a pretty relatively easy set. It should be, it could be really close. Like Kanga, we don't know what they're going to bring. But based on HRX, based on the past, I think, we should end up taking it pretty well. And it shouldn't be that close if we're playing our best. But, like I said, we don't know much about Kanga. We'll see. Could be a little interesting. Navi versus Renegades, I don't think this set's going to be anywhere near close. This is probably the worst set of the day. I think Navi's just going to straight stomp. I don't really see anything happening that's close in this set. If Invocal somehow gets picks that he can carry on, which I don't see Navi letting them have that, I really just see Navi taking this 4-0. Should be pretty solid. Not much to talk about there. I think Navi knows what they have to do against Renegades, and they're going to take care of business. NIP versus SSG. Hot set. I think maybe not the best set of the day, but definitely the second best set of the day. A lot of good stuff going here. We get to see NIP on display again. See what they're really, made of. They're going to have to play against Knights and SSG, two teams that they're going to be really competitive with this year, in my opinion. We get to see their full new lineup on display. SSG obviously coming back with their original lineup, like I said. In terms of tank matchups versus each other, I think SSG has the edge. Sadok's just such a good player. And obviously, because NIP has two relatively new tank players playing, you kind of give it to SSG, even though they're great players on NIP in terms of the tank matchups. DPS matchups, I think it's pretty even. Alex and it's been there, who we think is going to be on the team against FRZ and Ares. I think it's pretty even across the board. I think I think maybe NIP has the edge there in terms of DPS players, but very, very close. I think this set's going to be super close. I actually see this set going to a Game 7. I see this as a G7. NIP and SSG rematch from HRX. I think NIP is going to want to get their revenge. I think they're feeling good this year. And you know what? I'm giving it to NIP 4-3, which I think that's an upset. Based on history, SSG won on HRX. I think that's considered an upset. I'm pretty sure that's an upset. So I think 4-3 upset. Look out for that game, 100%. And moving into our last game of the Super Week, another pretty high matchup, Knights versus VP. If you look at my standings, I actually have Knights winning over VP in the long run in Phase 1, but I think that in this specific matchup, VP is going to take it. And my reasoning for that is Knights, I think they're coming in a little confident to this season. I mean, that's good. It's good to have a little confidence, but I think it might be a little too much overconfidence. And I think VP's coming in like they want to win. They want to win this matchup. They want to prove that they're better than the Knights. Because I think both these teams really are at each other's heads right now. A lot of drama there, I think. Just two teams that want to be better than each other. And that's going to create some fire. It's going to create some good magic there. And I think VP just wanted a little more. And not like they wanted a little more, just that I think they're going to come in a little bit more prepared. I don't think they're coming in super overconfident, inflated egos, nothing like that. I think they're coming in, they're going to be prepared to play. They're going to know what maps they want to play. They're going to know what they want to do. And they're going to take advantage of the Knights. Like, one, the VP knows the Knights. The VP knows the Knights well. The Knights don't really know VP. Like, the Knights are like, well, what does VP have for us? We don't really know. They don't scrim each other. They know they had to play each other week 1, so they're definitely not scrimming each other right now. And I think, for the most part, VP knows the Knights better. And that's why I think the VP is going to win this matchup. And I have them winning 4-2. Another close matchup, not a Game 7. It could go 4-1 maybe, but I think VP winning this 4-2 makes the most sense. I think it's going to be a really good set, very entertaining. But I do have VP winning the first set. And like I said, I do have Knights taking over them in the long term, but I think short term, VP knows the Knights better, and they're going to take advantage. So that's been it for my PPL predictions video. I hope you all enjoyed so much. I'm so excited for the season. Like, I've just been waiting to make PPL content for so long, it feels like. So long. So I'm so glad I finally get to get this out to you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I want to hear your thoughts, who you guys are rooting for this year. I just want to hear everything about the PPL, what you guys think, how excited you guys are, everything you guys have to say. Thank you so much. Again, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next vid. Peace.